flew off to faraway Texas, I didn't even think about staying back in Illinois with the children. I wanted to help him pick a good spot for our new farm. So, in 1842, we loaded our wagons and headed out. It took us over 4 months to travel almost 1,000 miles. So when it came time to leave our home, it didn't seem too scary a thing to do because, well, we'd already moved from Ohio onto Illinois, so we'd had some practice moving. We had to travel by wagon with the children, and Betsy, our oldest, she was 12 when we came to Texas, and she was as clever as anyone you ever knew. She was a real little mother to the babies. She could quiet them when they were fussy as good as me. Hannah was our second daughter, and she loved the outdoors. The child was such a pretty thing, you never expect her to be so handy in the garden. And then there was William. He's the oldest boy, and he went with his pa to hunt. Now, when he started hunting, that old rifle was as big as him. Mary always helped gather twigs and dry wood for our fires while we were on the trail. She was only 5 then. Of course, it didn't let her wander off too far. She was a bit too little to trust out of sight. And the youngest was Marion. He was great help watering the mules and cows. On September 3rd, 1843, I gave birth to John. Poor little mite. He only lived 2 months. So we set aside a plot in our farm for a burying ground. You happen to be standing in that very spot, the first cemetery in Farmer's Branch. Baby John was the first baby to be born in Dallas County, and the first to be buried in Dallas County. We later added 4 more children to our family: George, David, James, and Martha. Sadly, only David and Martha survived. And we buried George and James in the cemetery next to our sweet little John. Other families in the area came to need a burying place, and we were happy to grant them the privilege of burying their dead in our family cemetery. Infants and children suffered the most. And in the early years of settlement, most of the graves here were those of the very young. In those days, it was the custom to have a cemetery near a church, but few churches existed in the early years of settlement, and it was difficult to transport the dead from isolated homesteads over poor roads and trails to distant churchyards, especially in the Texas heat. That's why there are so many family cemeteries around these parts. Why, the Webb and the Marsh families had their own burying ground right here in Farmer's Branch. And the Perry and Warner families over at Carrollton. There are many more around here, but I'll let you find them on your own. On May 10th, 1846, several people met right in our cabin to form the Union Baptist Church. It was the first Baptist church in Dallas County. Oh my goodness, I've talked your ears off. I really enjoyed visiting with you. And I hope you will return to visit us often. Thank you all.